welcome everybody to Wallbangers Truck Racing Series here live from Richmond. I'm Ryan Ezel, and always I have my cohort in crime, Kevin Ruff, that sits next to me calling these races every single week. And man, is this going to be an exciting night tonight. So, Kevin, welcome to Richmond, baby.
Excited as always to be here, calling this race with you, my friend. It's going to be a really good one tonight. Hopefully, there's not going to be too many short temper flares, but going to be some really good racing tonight.
Shoot, are you kidding me? This is Richmond, okay? I have had the pleasure of running several official races this week here at Richmond because that's where they're running the Camping World trucks like they are here tonight. And man, it has been exciting to say the least, but it is going to be an exciting night here in the Wallbangers Truck Series, and I'll tell you why. We're in the second round in the playoffs in the round of eight. Okay, we're in the second race of three races in the round of eight in the playoffs, which means we have one more race to decide the final four. Now let's recap real quick while we're watching live right now all the drivers that are in their final few minutes of the practice session. We'll kind of throw up some times here so you can see how everybody is doing. We're less than a minute before we kick off qualifying here. And last week we had a nail biter between the three truck of the California kid Trevor Massetti and let's see if we can't find him here right now on the track. Well, he is not out there at the moment, but the two trucker Craig Burns, him and Trevor Massetti made it a absolute battle, bumper to bumper battle all the way to the end, where Craig Burns was the first driver to solidify his seat in the round of four. So let's break it down for you real quick. How things work here at the Wallbangers Truck Series, we have a playoff series. We're going to have three races that we've already taken from that takes the field down to eight drivers after three races. And then we have three more races, and then we take it down to the final four. And that will be decided for the champion at ISM Speedway there in Phoenix. And this is going to be interesting to see how this thing all plays out, Kevin. As we kick off qualifying, and we're going to see who is going to be the first one out on this clean and clear track with not a lot of rubber on it. We'll see. We've got Stephen Baldwin. Let's see if we can't go get a spot on him. And there he is, the 59 of Stephen Baldwin Jr. He is already getting out there and taking his time on the track. We'll throw up here in just a minute the qualifying times once some of these trucks start actually crossing the line. Now, let's talk about this track. As you see Stephen Baldwin Jr. get loose there, Kevin, what's going to be the keys tonight to qualifying?
Hot lap. Pretty much the way I look at it, you could really try to do two hot laps on this. It's your exit coming off at pit road and just running that high line coming out of four. Build up as much momentum and speed as you can. You could throw away the first lap if you want to and put it all on that second lap. But for me personally, I like to take the chance on both of them and try to do either one as a hot lap. But throttle control is huge. It's going to be big for the race itself, especially on tire wear. But in the qualifying, you only got two laps. So throttle control is a big thing. These tires are going to be cold. They're going to be slippery. So throttle control and the hot lap is the big thing.
Yeah, you know, with all I probably ran 400 laps or better uh, this week at Richmond, and I will tell you, this track changes drastically at night when the temperatures get cooler and that sun is not beating down on that track. Tire wear is going to be a huge factor here tonight, and I think fuel mileage will as well. As you know, here at Wallbangers Truck Series, these guys run 100% fuel open setups, which is a big determining factor on how these guys are going to have in a short run and a long run. And then they also run with limited tire sets. As you can see, the 8 of the drivers have already put time out on the track, with Michael Sheffield running a 21:88 and taking it to the top of the board. We're on board now with Steve Grappel in the 18 truck, and he is putting his first lap down. He is looks like he's starting a second lap, and so his first lap he is getting a 22:28. Now it's going to take a high to mid 21 speed to get up there, but I really don't think qualifying position is going to matter a lot, Kevin, because it's not a huge field, and this is going to be all about attrition. It's going to be about the long game. It's going to be how well can you take care of your tires, or if you're trying to run the fastest way around the track and get the fastest speed you can through every single race, then you're going to get in trouble when it comes to later on in the run, because you're not going to have enough tire to get you through those long green flag runs. Now, the stages tonight will be at lap 45 and at lap 90. So they're going to have two 45 lap stages. And then the final stage will be, let's see, we have 175 laps. So we're going to have an 85 lap run to finish this race, and with short tracks. And it is really easy to lose control here, is it not, Kevin?
Extremely, extremely easy. That's why you don't want to overpush the truck. And I think one of the other big words we're going to talk about tonight is discipline. Discipline and patience. You got to be really careful on this track. Just because someone's going to pass you in the opening laps, let them pass you. They're going to probably burn their tires up faster than you think. Just sit back and relax, man. Unless you're up front, sit back and relax. Let the guys burn up their tires and play a strategy, man. Be smart about it. Save your tires.
Sure, and I couldn't agree with you more. You look at Jerry Culver in the 13 here. He's getting up to speed and going out to put his time down on the track. He is, a lot of these guys. It's not going to be where you start. I hate to say it, but it's almost like when it comes to qualifying, it's almost like a super speedway. You can qualify where you can, but really that's not going to determine where you finish. And these guys are really going to have to try hard to maintain a consistent driving line throughout. And as soon as Jerry finishes up his run here, uh, we're going to watch him and the two truck of Craig Burns, which has already locked himself in. We'll go take a look at Craig now as Jerry moves himself up to the sixth position. Craig is going out now, throwing down a couple laps. These guys only get 2 laps. Now keep in mind, oh, and he did not like that when he lost a little control, so he'll be hitting pit road and starting that lap over. And we'll kind of take a look as we watch him exit pit road. Now, that's a great thing about this. They have one fast repair, they have limited sets of tires, and 100% fuel. And in fact, let's take a look a little bit about how this track is laid out. It is less than a 1 mile. It's about 3/4 of a mile. The weather tonight is nice and cool. 75-degree air temp. The track temp is going to be 77 degrees. And as you see, Craig Burns loses it out of 3 and 4 and is going to have to take that one to the pits. And he'll probably be starting from the back. But again, as we talked about earlier, really doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. So let's take an onboard look as we were riding on with the 3 truck here of Trevor Massetti and what it looks like from a driver's perspective to go around this track. You hear that throttle control, and it's not like it's wide open or it's all the way off the throttle through the corners like Bristol. This one is you kind of feathering the throttle, but it's all about how you set up the corners and how you get through it. If you enter it too high, it's going to wash you up the track. If you enter it too low, you're going to eat up too much tire. So this is really going to be, as you see right there in our test session from last night, he gets loose. That can be done so easy here at Richmond, especially with open setups, because you had the luxury of setting the truck up however you want. Now, you could be trying to set it up for a long run or a short run. But a long run truck might be really loose in the beginning, so you have to baby it and be very careful with your throttle trace. So, this is what it feels like to be on board and be behind the wheel of one of these Camping World trucks as they go around here at Richmond. Now, we will get back and take a look. These guys are really going to have to fight to be consistent and not allow their tempers and the tensions get to their head. We have Craig Burns that has locked himself in. We have several drivers that we'll show you here coming up soon that will be trying to fight to lock themselves in to the final seat of four. But before we do that, folks, one thing that we do here at Evolution Racing Network and at Wallbangers Truck Series is we pay tribute to our great country. So if you would, remove your covers, stand, place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, bow your head, do whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, and just pay tribute to all those that serve our country and have served our country, and most importantly, the ones that have paid the ultimate price as we air the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets spread glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, thank you. That was our national anthem, and we want to welcome everybody to the Wall Bangers Truck Series Racing right here from Richmond, from the Evolution Racing Network. And as mentioned before during practice, my name is Ryan Ezel, and always by my side is Kevin Ruff, my good friend and my partner here. This is going to be exciting. I'm telling you, Kevin, I cannot wait to see what these guys do, how they finish, and as they grid up, we're going to go take a look here. And in fact, let's go take a look and see how these are gridding up. Kevin, take us through the field.
Well, starting out on the pole, looks like we got Mr. Sheffield himself. He's starting out on the pole, followed by second place. We've got Brian Fine himself, starting in second. Third place, we've got Chad Biesinger. Fourth place, we've got Jeff Carson. Fifth place, we've got Brandon Regal. Sixth place, we've got Chris Claude. Seventh place, we've got Justin Hendry. Eighth place, we've got Jerry Culver. Ninth place, we've got Jerry Hutchinson. 10th place, we've got Steve Kerpel. 11th place, we've got Stephen Baldwin. 12th place, we've got Trevor Massetti. And starting at the tail end of the field that has already qualified into the championship for the fan favorite himself, Mr. Craig Burns.
That's right. Craig Burns will be starting from the back, but he has no pressure tonight, as all he has to do is just grid, finish the race where he can, and he has already locked himself into the final seat. Let's see if we can't get our pole sitter, Mr. Sheffield, down here and get a word with him. Let me see if I can get him on the horn here, Kevin. Hey, Michael Sheffield, Ryan and Kevin in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you. You got me?
Hey, what's going on? Look at you throwing down a worm burner there and getting yourself on the pole.
Thank you.
How's the track feel tonight? And I know this is one of your favorite tracks. I know this is what you've been waiting on. You were absent last week. You had some family emergency that had popped up, and you were not able to be here. So tell us how the track feels and what is your plan for tonight?
Track feels pretty good. Plan tonight is just set myself in position. I'm kind of in a got to win to stay in the eight there, and fortunately this week and next week are two of my favorites. So just got to put myself in position, and give myself a shot at making the final four.
Well, I knew that this was one of your favorite tracks, so we are excited to see how this thing plays out. So we're going to get you back to your team, but we just want to wish you good luck, and we hope we get a chance to talk to you tonight, uh, later on, maybe in a stage one, stage two, or even victory lane.
All right, I appreciate it, fellas, and have fun up in the booth.
Yes, sir. As always, we'll be watching for you. All right, that was Michael Sheffield, your pole sitter. Now, guys, as we mentioned, we have our stage breaks tonight are lap 45 and lap 90, as they are on the one to go right here. And, man, Kevin, give me your last thoughts and then take us to the green flag, buddy.
Restart's going to be real key here. It's going to be huge. You don't want tire spin. I myself have been guilty of it. Had tire spin on a restart. But Sheffield, the pole sitter himself, pace truck comes off. He goes down to pit road. Sheffield's going to take him to the green flag, and here we go for a fun race tonight, boys. Sheffield's going to take it. He's going to take it going down into one with Brian Fine on the outside.
That's right. As you will see, these drivers will be side by side in the beginning. That will not last long. Not here at Richmond. This field will get single file fairly quick. And I know a lot of you folks that are sitting out here as you see Sheffield get loose.
Oh, no.
He saves. Wow! Man, I'm telling you. Oh, and Chris Claude back there in the 10 did the exact same thing. It is easy to do here. Chris Claude, Michael Sheffield get back up to speed. They maintained their position going straight and started to get back up to speed, so there is no caution. Now, the only thing they need to worry about is getting their mind right, Kevin, and not getting lapped. You can see coming into frame up there, they're still very close to the pack. This is not over for them by a long shot. This is easy to recover from, but it's going to be more of a mental game than it is anything.
We just
Oh,
had another caution come out, too. Someone else
yes,
just
we
spun.
did. And it looks like we've got something going on with Justin Hendry, is what I'm hearing from the tower. Let's see if we can find out what happened.
That did not look good.
No, it didn't. Justin Hendry just got a little loose, no contact. Same thing as Michael Sheffield. He locks him down, makes a little bit of contact with that inside wall. I don't know if that will be enough to have to use their one and only fast repair here, considering this is a short track. They may get lucky, and as long as the engine is running fine, you're running 1180 RPMs, idle, then you can have a little body damage at these short tracks, can't you?
Yeah, you can have a little bit of damage here. If you have the way I look at it on short tracks, if you've got less than a minute of repairs when you go to pit road, don't take that fast repair. Just don't do it. Um, if you can get the repairs done in less than a minute, just get the repairs done.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think if it was late in the race, it'd be a different story. But this early in the race, no need for it because as long as you don't get lapped and you're able to stay on the lead lap with these guys, again, you're not dealing with a 40 car field here. You got a smaller field. Everybody's going to stay relatively close. And it's last week we saw it, remember? We saw that Craig Burns got in trouble early, very similar to what we just saw with the 28 of Justin Hendry. He hit the wall, he got in a little bit of trouble, and he went from the very front of the field to the back. And he was in danger of getting lapped at the end of that first stage. Did not do that fast repair. But Arrow was such a huge determining factor at that track. And where were we last week? Kentucky? No,
Texas.
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 That's right.
Texas.
That's right. We were in Kentucky the week before. So they were in Texas last week. Arrow is a lot more a determining factor on how well your truck is going to run at a mile and a half and up track. But here at a short track, less than a mile, you can take a little bit of that work. Craig Burns did not take it. Every pit stop he would take a little bit more repairs, and then he waited until the last stage to take his fast repair, and then he ended up winning the race. So he played the perfect strategy last week. I think Justin Hendry, he's a super intelligent driver, very methodical, very smart. I think he's going to be doing the same thing. He'll probably go in and get some repairs done early. This is very unlike Wallbangers Truck Series. We don't normally see caution flags coming out early. Um, and if we do, it's for exactly what you just saw, for a single truck spin. So no other trucks were involved in that incident, so there's not going to be that tension and the tempers getting involved early, which is probably going to be a factor later on in the race. Uh, let's take a look where these guys are getting all of their collecting done back up. As you see them, they're getting the one to go. The lights are off. Let's take a quick look at where we are in the schedule. So we're in Richmond tonight. Next week will be the final cutoff race for the round of 8. So it'll go from the round of 8 to the final 4 at Homestead, Kevin, of all tracks. And then the final 4 will go to ISM, and it's all about who finishes in front of the other 3. And they got a whole rest of the field they're going to have to deal with. So stay tuned for the next 2 weeks as you get to watch these guys finish up their season, and then they will be going to their next season just a few weeks away. And we are getting back in their green with Brian Fine in the 98 Porter Cable Truck and Jeff Carson in the Wild West Courier Toyota Tundra having a little bit of connection issues, and they are side by side. But as we talked about in the first run, that ain't going to last very long. It just cannot sustain. And they are getting really wide behind them. Everybody just trying to get their position. Now, Kevin, one thing that is very important about a short track is the first couple of laps after a caution or after the original restart is track position in those first couple of laps. That's why everybody pushes so hard to get every position they can, because the run goes longer, and they'll be able to slowly make a position here and there based on who has a better truck. But in that beginning, it's like everybody's fighting for every position, are they not?
Yeah, certainly. Um, Definitely, they're trying to fight for position, but at the same time, stage 1, I'm kind of playing a little bit of strategy. I'm one of those people, man. With the stages, thankful for them and resetting the field. I like to play a little bit of strategy, just kind of get an idea of what I could do on stage 3. Now, granted, this track does change drastically, like you said. So yes, position is huge, but right now I'm kind of playing just a little bit of a strategy, just seeing. So I'm gonna float back just a little bit, not push the truck super hard unless I know I've got the best truck out there, and just see what I can do, and get ready for adjustments for that first pit stop at the end of stage 1.
That's right. And some of these guys in the back of the field, as we'll take while we're sitting here watching these guys just get started in this first run, let's take a look at the current point standings. Now, we're going to pop this up as you can see here. Now, Craig Burns is in 4th position by points. But the great thing about this league is a win and you're in. So these are the 8 drivers that are in the round of 8. Anybody in this field that wins a race last week, this week, or next week has locked themselves in to the final round, which is the championship race. So Craig Burns has locked himself in. So this is Chad Biesinger, Trevor Massetti, Steve Krupel, Brian Fine, and Justin Hendry, and Michael Sheffield. These guys are going to be fighting for every single position, but they can take, like Michael Sheffield was unable to race last week. He's 52 points out. He would have to have 2 of the best races of his life if he didn't win and then have all the other guys have a fair to bad race. Because if not, what's going to happen is he can do really, really well, but there's going to be nothing to show for it, because he's just not going to be able to make up that many points on the rest of the field, especially with Craig Burns locking himself in with a win. I can almost guarantee one of the 8 drivers will be winning tonight. I could be wrong, but statistics show that those guys are really coming to the top right now when it counts in the playoffs. So some of the guys in the back, like Michael Sheffield, they can go off strategy, Gavin, because they have nothing to lose. It's win or you're in, right? So if you do what everybody else does, you're not going to have a leg up on anybody, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, they can play it however they want, and I didn't even think about it, but with that last caution came out, Sheffield benefited from that, and so did Chris Claude, because it reset the field. So there's just so many different factors you can do into this race tonight, but you talking about the top 8 drivers, man, it really is showing, man, they are really racing up to the top potential that they need to try to qualify for this championship 4. And Brian Fine, he's showing it right now. Before the race started, he was in the cutoff position where he was not going to qualify, sitting there in 5th. But, he's sitting up front right now. He's got a really good truck in that clean air. And he's showing us right now that he can win this race and lock himself into the championship 4.
You're absolutely right. Brian Fine has been one of those drivers that has been very quiet on the radio. You don't hear a lot of chatter from him. Him and Justin Henry, the teammates out there, they are just clean drivers. They're very respected amongst all their peers in all the leagues that they run in. And Justin Henry and Brian Fine, they actually run in several leagues together as a team. So these guys go out there, and I'll tell you, we go into these drivers' meetings before we go on air, Captain. We listen to all the different leagues that we broadcast, and we listen to the drive meetings. The league owners will come in there and they'll talk about, hey, here's the stage breaks. Here's what to look for. Here's what I don't want to see, blah, blah, blah. And Brian Fine and Justin Henry, they don't ever say a peep, but they are listening to every single word because they're taking notes. Okay, this is what's going on here. This is what's going on there. The track's getting loose about this lap in the run. And they have really come alive here towards the end of the season when it actually counts. And I've been really impressed with these guys and the way they have been running and how well they've been finishing as well. So RTR Motorsports has really been one of the shining lights in this league for the last 6 to 8 races.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been really good so far, and even with Justin Hendry in that incident he had at the beginning of the race, you watch that replay, he was able to control that truck and prevent from taking out Trevor Massetti, who was right beside him. So not only are they just really good dominant drivers, but they just got a lot of respect for everyone else in this field. And that's the good thing about this whole field here. Just been sitting here broadcasting this since the playoffs started. These drivers have so much respect for one another, and they are so fantastic to each other on the track. A lot of give and take, a lot of clean side-by-side racing. So that's what I enjoy the most about this is, you don't see a whole lot of tempers in this league just because there's so much respect between all the drivers.
There is, and I'll tell you, Kevin, that you kind of hit the nail on the head. These guys respect one another a lot. Not only do they race every single week, but they conversate, they talk, they compare notes. They may not be sitting there sharing setups with one another, but they're comparing notes and they're talking enough. It's just like me and you. We compete against each other on Tuesday nights, and me and you'll be in the same practice session running hundreds of laps, getting ready for a race. And we'll talk about what the track's doing, what it's not doing, what we're doing to try to, make it better. But I'm not going to give you my setup. I'm not going to give you my secret. And that's the thing about this league. Most of these guys are just very respectful of each other, and it shows when you go and watch a race, and you have 1 to 3 cautions for incidents in an entire race when it's close side by side. And I'll tell you, most drivers, they get in a position like Michael Sheffield did there on the first lap, or Justin Henry did on that first caution, they wouldn't have been able to save that truck to where it was repairable. So that says a lot about how these guys, their training and the practice and all the repetition they put into this, that just comes with instinct. It really does. So as we watch the 13 and the 23 here of Chad Biesinger and Jerry Culver, we've got a nice little battle. Chad Biesinger seems to be the faster truck, but this is one of those tracks that you can be faster than somebody. It doesn't mean you're going to get around them, because there's one preferred driving line, and that driving line is about 1.5 lanes wide. And if somebody else is occupying that area, it's going to be very difficult to get around them. As you see Jerry Culver there trying to make that outside work. Now, where that kind of comes into play is later in a run, if you have saved enough tire for you to be able to go in that high line and make it stick, then you're going to do well. You see the 13 there, man, he got close. I want to explain what that is, because with all the racing that I've done here at Richmond this week, I know exactly what happened right there with Jerry Culver. Coming out of 3, the truck naturally wants to push up the track, which is fine. You see right there. But you see that little wave in the wall there, Kevin? The wall like sticks out a little bit. So it kind of gives you a false sense of the line the outside of the track is running. And you feel like you can keep pushing up, the wall's going to keep pushing out. Then all of a sudden that wall dips in a couple of feet, and so many people end up pancaking that wall right there and doing significant damage or causing an incident. And I think this right here is probably the worst thing you can do for both of these guys, is be running side by side for a long period of time. And it's just because it takes so much wear out of your truck. Both for Chad having to stick it to the low line on corner entry and corner exit, and Jerry Culver for trying to have to keep it on the outside. Now, the good thing is they only have to go to lap 45, which, is 9 laps away. And then they get to break for caution for stage 1 and take on a new set of shoes and kind of reset. But running side by side here can really do a toll on your tire work, can it not?
Yeah, certainly it definitely can. That side by side racing on that outside line, it's just not the preferred line. You're using a lot of tire just to try to maintain it right there, and you saw it with Jerry Culver. He was trying and trying, and just Chad had that preferred line, and you could just see how Jerry's tires gave up. But I'm just kind of watching these front 2 right now, and Brian Fine he's got the top position, but look who's behind him. That Cali kid is closing in.
You're right. Trevor Massetti has been strong all season, and he has been one of the drivers we have showcased and talked about a lot in every one of these broadcasts. And it's because the kid has a ton of respect. He's probably the youngest driver in the league at 18 years old, uh, but probably is one of the most respected drivers in the entire league. And in fact, in most of the leagues that he runs in, he is way more mature than what his age is. He hangs around with guys that are 20, 30, 40 years old, and actually is probably one of the mentors to a lot of the drivers in a lot of these leagues, because of the way he drives and the amount of time he has spent in the sim. As you see him get extremely close to the 98, he's kind of flirting with several lines there, but Brian Fine is doing a phenomenal job in that Porter Cable Ford F-150 of just not racing out of his rearview mirror. It is so easy as a driver to start racing out of your mirrors, meaning that you're trying to watch what the guy behind you is doing and block it and cover the line, and you start making mistakes by doing that. They say
Yeah.
you win a race by what? Racing out in front of your hood pins, not behind you. And
Yeah.
Brian Fine is doing a great job of doing that as we come with looks like 4 to go, because it'll be at the conclusion of lap 45. And with 2 to go, the pit the pits will close, so nobody will be able to short pit the stage here. And we're going to keep the cameras here on this front battle. And really, stage points, there may be a chance that it comes down to points for that fourth and final spot, but I think this is more about just getting familiar with the track and knowing what you can do later in the race if it comes down to the end of the race. I think Trevor's back there studying, studying like crazy, watching Brian Fine. How does he do the corner entries? You see, he's a faster truck at the moment. And
Yeah,
all it, yeah,
he's getting a huge run
yep.
going into one, and I just kept watching and watching. I'm like, man, he's gonna really have to fix the exit coming out of four. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was
No,
just
you're
saw
good.
how he was practicing and practicing that, and I knew it was about to happen. He just had to keep playing mind games with Brian, and
That's
that's what he
right.
did. He played some mind games with him, and he took it over, and I think he's about to win this stage.
Yeah, as we are on the white flag for stage one, the Sheffield Graphics white flag, as Trevor said, he comes out of two and going into three. He is literally one turn away, and it looks like he will do it with ease. Trevor Massetti will be your stage one winner here at Richmond at the Wallbangers Truck Series in the playoffs. Round of eight, race number two. Wow. I mean,
That was a good run. That was a
that
good
was a
run.
great run, and I think he learned a lot about how Brian specifically is running this track. He set him up. You said it earlier, Kevin, that he was studying him, he was watching him, and he was kind of flirting with what he did and how Brian reacted to it. Uh,
Yeah, and I've actually just from me myself watching, just from different camera angles. I mean, hell, I'm studying, for
oh,
my next run at
absolutely.
Richmond because Trevor's got it down. Trevor's got something going. Not saying Brian didn't have a good line, but Trevor's got a method, and he saved tires a lot better than Brian did too, and it showed late in that run.
That's right. As we watch these drivers hit pit road, I don't think anybody will not come to pit road and take four fresh Goodyears and 2 cans of Sunoco fuel for the second stage. But man, I'm telling you, this has been an eye-opening experience. I really thought we would see a distinct difference in a few groups of drivers, those that are set up for the short run and those that are set up for the long run. But really, we haven't. I mean, these guys have done well. As you see, Trevor Massetti has concluded his pit stop, and he will be first off pit road. Brian Fine will be second. Chad Biesinger third, and Jeff Carson fourth, Michael Sheffield fifth. So let's see if we can't get a word with our stage one winner. Trevor Massetti, Ryan, and Kevin in the booth. You got a copy?
I gotcha.
Hey, what's going on, brother? That was amazing. It looked like you were literally toying with his emotions out there as you were haunting him uh, from the back. What did you learn from that first stage?
Um, I mean, first of all, I don't know if I was toying with him. I just was trying to figure out what the heck I could do to get by him because I learned that he's definitely going to be one of the ones to beat tonight. He's been fast all year, but Richmond, I know he runs good here, and it's showing because he is. I mean, he's flying. Um,
Yeah, we
I
were
don't know.
we were actually talking about it. How well Brian Fine and Justin Henry both, the RTR team, has come together and come to the table late in the season, and they showed up to win. We saw Justin Henry get loose and brought out that first caution, but man, he collected it, got it straight. We've seen that from Michael Sheffield as well. Is the track controllable tonight, or is it really loose, or is it a white knuckle type situation? What do you think is going to happen later in the run tonight?
I think later in the run we'll be all right. Might get a little loose as more rubber gets laid down, but um, I think just the new tires and everybody getting butterflies in their stomach is what caused those first couple incidents because that's not something you normally see. But Could happen on this restart. Could happen on the next one. We'll see.
Is tire spin going to be a factor, Trevor?
I think so. I think coming off the corner, especially out of turn 2, you get really loose on like lap 1, lap 2. So I think it could be a big factor. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your stage 1 win. I hope we get to talk to you at stage 2, or more importantly, in victory lane. We're going to throw you back to your team. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That was Trevor Mercetti, our stage 1 winner. Um, man, he said it. And that's one thing that we're going to have to watch for on cold tires and on old tires, Kevin, is tire spin. As we see the iRacing Chevy Silverado pace truck dip down to pit road, Trevor Mercetti brings him to the field, and we are underway for stage 2. And Trevor Mercetti, the Cali kid, gets a heck of a jump on that outside line, and he obviously will take it down to the low side and start getting into his rhythm of hitting his marks. And right behind him, Brian Fine, Jeff Carson are single file, but right behind them, though, it starts to get heated up with Chad Biesinger, Steve Baldwin Jr. running side by side. You know, we have said it all season long. Chad Biesinger is the Mark Martin, Mr. Consistency of this league, but I think we've seen more ambition and kind of him not waiting so long to get going here recently as we get deeper into the playoffs. You know, he's leading the points right now, so if it comes down to 3 guys winning and 1 guy getting in by points, as long as he has his consistent night, he'll be that 4th and final guy. But there's no telling what happens tonight, how this thing plays out, or next week at Homestead. For the most part, the field, though, is getting single file all the way back. We'll take a look back at Michael Sheffield, Jerry Culver. And remember, Sheffield had a little mishap on that lap 1 as he was our pole sitter and got loose, collected himself, got straight, and just started going through the motions, made it through the stage 1 break. He came out 5th, but he's lost a couple spots at that restart. What do you think that's from, Kevin?
Well, you know, when he got loose and he mowed the grass and jumped that grass, you know, on the infield, I think it may have done some splitter damage. Unfortunately, I don't know if he got an X on that or not. I'm sure he probably got a 2X, but most of the time when it's something like that and it doesn't give you a 4X, it doesn't really show that you have a whole lot of damage. But I think he's got a little more damage than he thinks aerodynamically, even it being short track. And I think that's where he's just fallen off a little bit. But the benefit of this league is you've got 1 fast repair. I think he didn't take it, and I think that's why it's showing. That's why he's kind of floating in the background now, because he does have a very strong truck, and he is fast. But we just had a caution come out. But hopefully, you know, coming into stage 3, hopefully we see him up there towards the front.
And I think we will. He's one of those drivers we talked about that has to pretty much win to get in, as he mentioned in his interview. So I think he's being methodical, laying in the back and waiting for the time to strike. So let's see if we can figure out. I'm being told that it looks like it was something with Craig Burns, maybe Brandon Regal in the 36 truck. Let's go see if I could find what happened here. Did you see Craig Burns getting into the corner, coming through the low line? Oh, and the 36 of Brandon Regal.
Oh,
Wow, he gets loose coming off the corner. Let's take a look at that one more time. Brandon Regal's doing a good job sticking it, but he gets loose right there, and Craig has so much momentum coming off that corner exit, nowhere to really to go.
there's just not enough time to back out.
There's not, and your reaction time is literally milliseconds. And even if he had a reaction time that would work, I don't think he could get the truck slowed down enough. Now, it doesn't look like it's enough damage to have to, put it in the garage, but good for Craig. He can wreck out tonight and next week. He's already bought his ticket into the Final Four. But Brandon Regal and Chris Claus, you see him coming there with some right side damage as well. Both of these guys are fighting for the highest non-playoff driver that they get a prize as well. They get a butt kicker setup, and I believe more prizes. So there's something for the guys that aren't in the playoffs to fight for. And I think you'll start to see that. So there's kind of two races going on in the same one. Now, we are on lap. What lap are we on, Kevin?
We should be on lap 60.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, we're about halfway through the second stage. I think it's too early because we are on limited tires. I think it's too early to go in and take tires. I think most of these guys are going to be doing whatever they can to save as much as they can for the end of the race. They get 4 total sets of tires. So they've already used one on stage one. They started on a set. So by our calculations, they should only have 2 sets left. I think unless you have damage, there's no reason to come to pit road this early. So we see Brandon Regal come into pit road as he was involved in an earlier incident. Craig Burns looks like he took his fast repair cabin. He had those 8 extra guys come over the wall with all the parts and panels he needed to get that truck back to clean running. And so he'll have another shot. I think he is being scored a lap down, so he will have to fight his way back either through the lucky dog or by trying to lap the field. So we'll have to see how that plays out. For the 2 truck, Craig A. Burns, fan favorite. Yeah,
The benefit of it though is he's locked in. That's the first thing.
yeah,
But this field is so small. I don't see someone else going a lap down. So when the stage is over, he's probably going to be on the lead lap after the stage is over. He'll get that wave around and
oh yeah,
be able to get back on here. But he has nothing to worry about. I think he's just kind of experimenting a little bit because this track has some similarities to Phoenix.
oh
And
yeah, very
I think that's all that's on his mind right now is Phoenix. He's not worried about Homestead. Like some people like Sheffield. Sheffield's may have to rely on Homestead to try to get himself in, but he has nothing to worry about. Just take notes, soak it all in. That's the best thing I could say at this point. Just prepare yourself for that Championship 4 race.
That's right. And as we had the points pulled up there, while Kevin was talking, kind of showing you guys where everybody lies coming into the race. And we are back under green, and there's some incredible racing going on here between playoff drivers and non-playoff drivers running side by side. And man, does Jerry get close to that wall, but that's that little dip in the wall does right there coming out of the corner. And if you're not careful, it can reach out and bite you. And as we see back, everybody getting pretty much single file again. Now, a couple of the drivers we haven't talked about much tonight that I would like to go take a look at. I want to keep a camera on here. All right, it looks like these guys are kind of settling down a little bit. Is the 18 of Steve Kerpel. He came in tonight. Well, let's just take a look. We don't get to do this much, so let's take a look. Came in 3rd in points, so really 4th because Craig Burns is locked in. You see Craig Burns almost lost it, and he crashed. Let's go take a look. Oh, I think he has taken it to... No, he did. I saw it in the corner of the frame there. Saw him get loose.
Yeah, he sent it.
Oh, and he did what he could, but man, we've seen that 3 times already tonight. Just, it's so easy to do, and I cannot explain it enough.
Yeah.
It's just so easy for these guys to just very easily give it too much throttle on corner exit. This track is all about finesse. It's about getting onto the brakes nice and easy but firm, and the same way getting onto the throttle on corner exit. And if you do it too hard and too fast on either one of those, either getting into the corner on the brakes or coming out on the gas, you are going to do exactly what you just saw 3 times tonight by Craig Burns. We've seen it from Brandon Regal. We've seen it from Michael Sheffield.
And
It
Justin Hendry.
and Justin Hendry, that's right, he was our first one. So, uh, but before that caution came out, we were actually talking about the 18 of Steve Carpelli in the S&C transport truck at Toyota Tundra. He's been quiet. He is third in points. Uh, I think he came in tonight with one thing in mind, which is just having a good finish. Yeah, everybody's wanting to win to lock themselves in, but everybody knows there's certain tracks that they look forward to, and there's certain tracks they just hope to get out of clean. And Steve Propel looks at Richmond. I'm sure, like most drivers do, it's hard to come into this with a concept and an idea in your head that I'm going to go in there and win because I'm going to do A, B, and C. There's just so many outside variables that can change that for you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that.
You see Trevor Massetti, Brian Fine, and Steve Baldwin Jr. has made his way up to third position. Steven, uh, great racer, man. Works hard at it, puts a lot of time into it. And as you see, let's take a look at those points again, real quick. He's not in there, folks. He got knocked out in the last round, so he was in the round of 12. He didn't make it to the playoffs, but he has nothing to lose. So I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get a win, and I'm going to be the first driver out of the playoffs to win me that prize, just like the champion gets here. And that's a great thing about Wallbangers Truck Series is they have prizes for both the champion and the highest non-playoff driver to finish this thing up. So it's he's fighting his own battle out there, and I think him, Chris Claude, and Jerry Culver are really the ones that are fighting for that battle.
Yeah, and with all due respect, I mean, yes, you get the prizes. Don't get me wrong, prizes fun, but I'm that guy that if I'm an outsider and I'm not in there with the other drivers, I want to spoil it. I'm a spoiler, man.
Oh
I want
yeah.
to spoil it, and I just want to. I want to mess it up as much as possible. I think I've said it before, but as a fan of Tony Stewart, years ago when he barely missed the playoffs and he went in there and won like 6 playoff races, you know. Um, I mean, it just really messed up the actual playoff drivers that were competing for a championship.
Oh, they thought that whole thing envisioned out for the next 10 weeks, and he threw it all upside down. And that's
Absolutely.
what makes it exciting. That's what makes racing fun to watch. And as we have seen the lights off the iRacing Chevy Silverado pace truck, you'll see it dip down to pit road, and Trevor Mercedes and Brian Fine are lined up side by side to take the green flag. And here we go. We're back underway.
Huge jump. Huge jump
And
by
he's got
by,
those
by the Cali
restarts
kid.
down pat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's just kid's like every time he starts, I just want to say he gone.
Yep. He gone. She gone. As you see Jeff Carson, and man, that is how Trevor got around Brian Fine when they were dueling it out, coming to the end of stage one. If you can get your nose underneath that rear left bedside of a truck on corner entry, it forces them to have to move up a lane going through the corner, and it's almost a guaranteed pass every time. So a lot of these guys, you'll see them kind of taking a higher entry and dive into the bottom, trying to get underneath a truck on corner entry to push them up to make the pass. Jeff Carson was really fighting hard there underneath Brian Fine, but it doesn't look like he could do it. He settles back. We've got Steve Baldwin Jr. We're just talking about him, who fought his way up to third place. He is slipping back now and back there dueling with Chad Biesinger gets around him, but then look who it is. Michael Sheffield and Jerry Culver there side by side. And Michael Sheffield's just trying to get himself back up to the lead pack. Man.
Yeah, Jeff
Ooh.
Jeff Carson, that's one that I just want to give a huge shout out to right now. We've been really quiet, haven't said much about him tonight, and Jeff's one of my buddies, and I enjoy racing with him, week in and week out. But man, he's just really consistent tonight, sitting there in that third place position. Not doing, anything spectacular, but he's not doing anything wrong. He's just sitting there being consistent and just driving a really smart race right now. And he's an outsider looking in.
and he's doing a good job. You know,
He's
it's
doing a
not
great
like
job.
he just came up front because of the way this caution cycle happened. He's been consistently moving forward.
Yeah,
We've got
absolutely.
an incredible three-truck battle here between Jerry Culver in the 13, Stephen Baldwin Jr. in the 59, and Michael Sheffield in the one truck. And Gavin, if I'm not mistaken, you know we're 12 laps from the end of stage two. Michael Sheffield in the one truck is running a new paint job tonight. But I just noticed something on the top on his bed cover. I want to see if I can find a camera. If it is what I think it is, I'm going to laugh. But let's take a look. Look at
It's
that.
it's my favorite saying. People,
Absolutely. So, we've got a drinking game for everybody. For those over the age, the legal drinking limit age of 21, uh, if you have a cold beverage in your hand and you'd like to play along, here, I think we're going to start doing this. This is going to become a weekly thing here at Evolution Racing Network. You know, there's one word that the two of us say all the time. And I don't know why it's just something that stuck with us, and it's always been there. It's absolute. That's the way we come into a session. It's the way we go out of it. And
absolutely.
look what we have here. Michael Sheffield decided to have his guys absolutely painted on the bed cover of his truck, right below the logo for Evolution Racing Network. So, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for carrying the badge so well, Michael Sheffield, and a great job to your paint crew that put that thing together. And Kevin, he put your slogan right there on
He makes me feel special.
it. Oh, that's awesome. Well, hopefully we'll get to talk to him at the conclusion of stage two here in about 7 or 8 laps, or at the end of the race. Wouldn't that be a heck of a story to see a guy that didn't get to race last week due to a family emergency come back, start on the pole, and immediately before a lap is even finished, lose control, go mow the yard there on the front straightaway of Richmond, and then fight his way back to win the race?
I'd love to see it. Sheffield's a really good guy. You couldn't ask for a better person in this league, and he's helped me out tremendously, giving me some good pointers and advice. So yeah, I would love to see it. Unfortunate situation last week for him where he couldn't make it. So I've been put in that situation before where you gotta bite down and try to just go out there and win the damn thing. So
Yeah.
just hope he has a really good outcome. But right now, I'm just telling you, nobody's catching that Cali kid.
No, no, it's going to be very hard with Craig Burns having early trouble in this race, Michael Sheffield having early trouble in this race. Now, granted, Sheffield has worked his way back up to fifth, and then Brian Fine holding steady in second. I think anybody has a chance to go up and challenge the Cali kid tonight. It's more than likely going to be Brian Fine in the 98, that Porter Cable Ford F-150, or Michael Sheffield in that one Chevy Silverado uh, Chevy goods truck, or even possibly Jerry Culver's looking sharp tonight. Steve Baldwin Jr. There's a lot of people. Maybe even Chad Singer, Mr. Consistency. But if I think it comes down to it, I'm going to make a call. The three guys I'm keeping my eye on tonight is Brian Fine, Michael Sheffield, and Trevor Massetti as a little trio of a battle that I'm thinking is going to start brewing later in the race.
As long as pit stops are made properly, I hate to possibly jinx this, but my money's on Trevor Massetti tonight. That kid looks too good tonight. He's just got a really strong truck. And while I'm talking about him, I want to give a shout out to his dad. His dad watches our broadcast every week.
What's going on, Brian Massetti?
And Trevor has told me week in and week out that Brian says his favorite broadcast of the week is me and Ryan in the boots. So, Brian, thank you very much for watching the broadcast week in and week out. We really enjoy the feedback and hope we continue to put on a good broadcast, and hope you're cheering on your son right now.
That's right. You know, Trevor's got a great family with Brian and Christy, his mom and dad, Steve and Jim, his brothers. Uh, they all watch and root him on. And as you watch, no contest whatsoever. Stage 2 winner, Trevor Massetti. Now, will he be a driver that will go and sweep the entire night? I don't know. Now, I could have swore. Where's our caution at? There
There it
it is.
is.
Okay, I think they were waiting for the rest of the field to come across the line. But will he be a driver that actually can go out and sweep both stages and conclude with a race win? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But he has put on a clinic tonight. He's made it look easy. He had a significant gap over Brian Fine in the 98 truck and Chad Biesinger in the 23. But the question now becomes, Kevin, cannot. This is what I've been waiting for. I have been waiting for stage 3.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because this is when the gloves come off. This is when everything shifts. All the light banter and how well that they've been behaving and, being nice to one another and giving each other a lot of room. Well, I'm sorry, folks. That's gone out the window at stage 3 because now it's all about the win. So these guys are making their pit stop, their final guaranteed under caution pit stop as we see Trevor Mercetti does a great one. Brian Fine coming out right behind him. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Steve Kerpel in 18 with a great stop, making his way up to third. And, man, this is going to get interesting. But before they get re-racked and stacked, let's see if we can't get a hold. See if Trevor's done signing autographs and get a hold of him here real quick. Trevor, Ryan, and Kevin in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, we were just talking about your dad and giving him a shout out because little birdie told us that this is his favorite broadcast to watch all week that you race in. But man, you have been putting on a clinic out there, and we were talking about how now is where it gets interesting. The niceness and giving everybody room and being polite on the track. We're done now because now it's time to get real. We're gonna have a shootout here in the final stage. Do you see your truck driving any different, or is it only getting better from here?
I mean, time will tell, but I think it's going to get better. I think I got a good shot tonight, hopefully.
Well, if it's up to me and Kevin, I mean, we pretty much locked you in. We said it's going to be between you, uh, Michael Sheffield, Chad Biesinger, maybe even Brian Fine. So, Brian's been very consistent and running up front with you. But man, when you get up there and we start getting into a longer run, it's like nobody's got any competition for you. Have you always been this good at Richmond?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know. Seems like this place just kind of comes natural to me. I normally run pretty good here in the cup cars. This is the first time in the trucks that I've run it, but I don't know. It feels pretty good.
Hmm. Well, your infamous tractor that your family operates, Yellow Fever, right?
Yes,
The one that's in your picture here. Uh, well, you make it look like you're driving Yellow Fever around this track as much gap as you're putting on everybody. So I'm going to let you get back because I know you guys got the one to go right now as the lights are off in the iRacing pace truck. So good luck. Go out there, keep it clean, and bring home the victory tonight. All right, Trevor?
sounds good. Hopefully, I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
Absolutely, man. Have a great race, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Sounds good.
Well, that was Trevor Massetti, number 3. Uh, I don't know. This is where I get so nervous, Gavin. Take us to the green here, buddy, as we get this thing going and call this first few laps. I want to hear it from your perspective.
Trevor Mercetti, the Cali kid, you prefer the outside line. Pace truck's going to go inside, and Trevor Mercetti's going to take it to the green flag. Gets a really good restart. Brian Fine in second place. He's going to try to maintain that bottom line going into turn 1. Chad Biesinger sitting there in third. He started on the high line, but he's going to float down to the bottom. He's going to get that run, and Michael Sheffield's going to get a huge run coming out of 2, and he's going to get past Steve Grappel, and he's going to take him on the bottom line, sitting there in fourth place. Jeff Carson, as I've always said it, this whole race, he's just being real consistent, being real smart. He's sitting there in third place, but Michael Sheffield, he is on a mission, and he's going to take advantage of these fresh tires right now on that outside line, and he's going to try to get a run past Jeff Carson, but really good run by him so far, starting out this stage 3.
Yeah, and I think now we talked about it. We were joking about it that everybody's being very nice and polite, giving each other a lot of space. But now it's like, look, I basically have a 75 lap dash to win and get in. And a lot of these drivers, 7 of these drivers, nobody's locked in but Craig Burns. So it's still anybody's championship to win out of those drivers. And I think there's drivers like Michael Sheffield and them that are like, look, this is my best shot. Now, there's some drivers that are like short track. It's like, can't do it. It's just not my thing. I'll go out there and I'll run good, but I'm not going to win it unless just something weird happens. But then there's drivers that look at it like, look, this is my only shot. I'm not a good super speedway driver. I'm not a good driver that can do the long run tire flag. As we've got a caution come out, and they think that the short track is where the technicality of it, they have a better chance of winning. So let's see if we can't go figure out what happened here, Kevin. Here, maybe it was the 36.
Yeah, I'm just curious right now. Yeah, he just lost it.
Yeah.
He just lost it.
You know what I noticed there on both of the incidents, the one there at the beginning of the race and the one that we just witnessed, they were almost identical. And the one thing that they had in common is the line he was running, going corner entry and then through the corners. He's not taking it in high and kind apexing down to the apron. He's kind of trying to run that middle line, which is fine if the truck is set up for it. But if it's not, the danger is on corner exit, you see what happens almost every time. And when it doesn't, it feels like it's happening every time. So I don't know if that's a setup issue or maybe the damage from that first incident that maybe didn't get repaired. But it's obviously it's controlling the handling of that truck and making it very difficult for the 36 of Brandon Regal. Now, I'm taking a look. I want to sit here and see if we can't. I'm going to take a look at some of these paints because I've noticed a few things here. That some of these paint schemes tonight are spot on. Michael
Sheffield's on point.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
So look, we're gonna start putting a betting line at the beginning of every broadcast. We're gonna put an over/under on how many times we collectively say absolutely. We might start giving away a little bit of money, or maybe some iRacing credits, or something to the winner there, for those that get closest to it. I went back and listened to one of the broadcasts, Kevin, and I'm not knocking you or me or what. 52 times. I think that was a little excessive. Now, granted, that was a 3-hour broadcast, but I don't know. What do we replace it with? That's the problem. So if you're trying to agree with somebody and put emphasis on it, absolutely. So what are we going to replace it with?
I have no idea.
Absolutely just comes too easy. I'm sorry. We're just going to say that. Folks,
I tried
you're
certainly.
stuck with it. Yeah. We
I
tried it
tried
all.
certainly, and it just doesn't feel as good.
Some of the comments we're getting on the post and in the stream just make me laugh every single time. We love you guys. We love all the viewers. We get people from all walks of life and all over the country that are either just tuning in for their first time, they stumble across the stream on YouTube or Facebook, or they're following it because of a driver. Maybe it's a family member or friend. So we want to welcome everybody first and foremost. And, we're not shy. and we are going to fumble on our words and probably say something that doesn't make sense, but it makes sense in our head. And you're going to hear absolutely at least 52 times minimum every week. So, welcome to Evolution Racing Network, folks. As iRacing pace truck dips out of pit road, and we are back under green. And man, Trevor Massetti is killing it on these restarts.
Yeah, Brian Fine's just trying to find. Oh, we got a slippage. We got a slippage.
Oh no,
man.
Jeff Carson.
Daggone it. I think Jeff was good though. I don't think he had any contact. He's just gonna have flat spots on the tires.
He's got a little bit of damage as we take a look.
Well, he hadn't used a fast repair yet either. So
No, he had. Oh, he had a little help from the 59. And that's the thing about and the little contact there in the front from the 36. Yeah, and as you see, he does have a little front end damage, and that spoiler in the rear on that bed is looking like a wave in the ocean. So I am probably assuming that he will be going in and taking his fast repair.
Yeah, I would say so. And Brandon Regal, man, just cannot catch a break tonight, man. I just
No.
feel real bad for him. I've been in those slumps before, man, where it's not even your fault, and just hard to control the car sometimes and stuff like that. But man, on that kind of situation, you just have nowhere to go. You just kind of have to make the last chance decision, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So just a tough break for him. I just feel bad for him tonight.
Yeah, it's been one thing after another with him. We saw a few trucks get caught up in that most recent incident. I'm going to see if I can't get a view from that. Let's see from Steve Capel. Oh, yeah. Oh, Craig almost just got destroyed as looked like Steve Capel was coming off pit road possibly. Or no, he was coming in. I think he may have not taken tires on that last caution.
I was wondering if he did that
Because he
two
fell
tires.
back really quick when the green came out. He had made his way up to third and fell back like a rock, like he had a parachute on the back of it. And I think this is really going to play to his favor because if that was in fact his strategy, this is going to be perfect because now we can go in and pit without losing a significant amount of track position. And as it has been all night long, the same two trucks up front. Now, here's the thing that we need to keep in mind. So when they went back green, it was with about 80 laps, 80-ish laps to go for stage 3, Kevin. And a fuel run here is 100 to 102 laps. So these guys, in theory, could stay out for the rest of the race. I don't know that I would want to stay on a set of tires for 100 laps. Now, I'll be honest with you. I did a C Open, which is 110 laps open setup, a couple nights ago, and I went the entire race without pitting. And I was on my original set of tires. And it wasn't even a challenge. I mean, 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds off the pace because by then your tires have zero grip and you're having to back up the corners so much. So the question now becomes as these guys, you see the lights go off the iRacing Chevy Silverado pace truck. The question now becomes is if this thing goes green for the remainder of the race, when do you pit to take the tires? You're not taking fuel, but I think just like I witnessed the other night in the race, even though I was trying to play the long game and not pit, there was such a fall off from tire wear that the guys that were breaking that stage or that race in half with a pit stop were able to catch me and pass me, even though I was staying out. So I'm curious to see if anybody does it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting because, like you said, you can make it on fuel, but obviously you don't want to try to do the fuel run here. And we just had another wreck. Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
we did. I'm being told that that was the 12 truck of Jerry Hutchison. We'll see if we can get a quick look at what happened. He's already on pit road. Looks like he had a tow. He was involved in that last incident with Jeff Carson, and it looks like that starts in front of him, and he is just a victim of the wrong place at the wrong time. Is what actually took place. I'm going to see if my camera work here can try to get us a better shot at it. I'm going to go back to this incident, but go from Chris Claude's perspective. He gets too high, gets into the wall, and that automatically will force you down the track. And when he did, started spinning, lost control. These guys were all packed up tight from that most recent restart. And I don't care how fast your reaction time is. When you're right on top of somebody like that, there's nowhere to go. You're along for the ride.
Yeah, just an unfortunate situation again. Once again, Brandon Regal got tagged up in it just a little bit, so tough break for him.
But look
I
at
don't-
Jeff Carson's truck. All
about to
nice
say-
and shiny.
I about to say, I don't know if he had a whole lot of damage on his. He probably didn't have a whole lot on his because his didn't look that bad. He just got tapped on the back end just a little bit. He just got some flat spots on those tires, unfortunately. But talking about the pit, window, I was gonna say between lap 130 and 140. But the more of these cautions that come out, the further you can push it back a little bit. So
That's just
um,
helping you on this to where it's making the decision for you to where you don't have
yeah.
to pit. You know,
And-
the bad thing about Trevor is he's along for the ride. Everybody behind him gets to choose.
Not necessarily. Not
Well,
necessarily. I mean,
no.
he can short it. He can do a short pit stop on it if he thinks about it. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say between lap 135 and 145, I think you're gonna see some people start pitting.
So if you're up front and you're in the position of Trevor Massetti, the Cali.
And I think we're having some technical difficulties with Ryan. I know Ryan was just trying to say something, but hopefully Ryan's mic will come back to him.
I'm sorry about that, Kevin. You got me?
Yeah, I got you now. But
Right.
I think what you were saying is, if you're Trevor and you're running up front, what do you do? And I think
Mhm.
in this situation with Trevor having as strong of a truck as he does, I shortstop it.
Okay.
I try to take advantage of it before the guys pit. So if I'm him, I pit at lap 135. Get it done and over with. Get out there, have your fresh tires, and just drive that thing on rails and just finish the race. If you don't go to lap 135, that's where Brian Fine, Michael Sheffield, Chad Beecher, they could gain an advantage on you
Yeah.
by pitting early, having the fresher tires, and just sometimes that can help you. I've seen it at Richmond myself. I've seen somebody that's sitting in third place trying to catch up to first place. They gain 2 seconds on them just from doing a
Yeah.
short pit stop.
Well, and I'll tell you this: if here's the backfire plan of short pitting. Let's say this thing starts to feel like it's going to go green for the remainder of the race, and Trevor decides to short pit. And he comes in at lap 125, 128, comes out, and everybody else, you slowly start to see people come down pit road over the next, 5 to 10 laps. All of a sudden, a caution comes out. Now he's trapped a lap down. And that's just part of the risk and part of how things happen in racing. As the pace truck dips down and Trevor Massetti gets another incredible launch on that restart. He has got this thing figured out. And as you see, Brian Fine and Michael Sheffield right there behind him. I think Sheffield is like, look, man, I got to go. Either get in line and get up to speed or get out of my way. I think
Yeah.
they know the time is running out because we're about to be 55 laps left in this race. And at a short track that's 3/4 of a mile long, that ain't going to take no time at all.
And this is where you want to be really careful too, because like Sheffield has nothing to lose right now. He's got to go out there and try to win this thing. But throttle control right now, pushing that truck to its limits. You got to be really cautious with that right now. But if I'm Sheffield, I'm trying to catch Massetti as much as I can, and I would pit when Trevor pits. That would be my best strategy at this point. If Trevor's going to short pit, if Trevor does not short pit, I would pit right before him. But if he's going to short pit, you pit right when Trevor pits. But throttle control right now is a huge thing, coming in and out of the turns.
You're right. And you can't afford to stay out much longer when the leaders start pitting because the tire fall off makes such a difference on your lap times. We'll go through and we like to look at a little segment called Battle Boxes, and it will show you the variation. It shows that all four of these drivers that we're watching here, they all are on the same pit cycle as of now, and it will show you the difference that they are between the driver in front of them and where they are relative to the other drivers. These guys are running a very close, very tight field. Um, so it's going to be about this last pit strategy. If the field is going to get split up and kind of get more loosely all the way around the track versus running in this tight pack, it's going to be when people start pitting. And that's if they even pit. Because it very well could come down to where some of these guys just try to take the long game and go, look, I'm going to try to let this thing run. We've had enough cautions at the beginning of this third stage that I think I can make this thing work towards the end. I saved enough. And I guarantee you, there's going to be some people, Kevin, that are putting that strategy in the back of their head. They're like, look, I know we all have enough on fuel, and it's not like we have 110 laps to go. We have less than half that. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can save enough tire to make it go. Because if one person can stay out and keep a decent average lap time and another person pits to take tires, I don't think there's enough laps left in the race to be able to catch back up on fresh tires.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I was just about to say you sound like Kevin Zab right now, a good friend of ours that we run with in
That's right,
RSR.
from Zabmoto.
Uh, Zab Moto, he is such a good dude, and he is one person that I don't know if I ever would gamble against him because he is one of the smartest people when it comes to fuel strategy. Um, I've seen it numerous times where if he does not have a fast truck, he will back her down a little bit and do a completely different strategy on fuel. And if he doesn't win, he finishes second or third. It's pretty damn smart on him. So, Zab, if you're listening to this, I'm giving you a shout out right now, even though I don't want to, because you beat me a couple times on that fuel strategy play. But definitely
Well,
fuel strategy can play a factor.
this is one of those races that if we stay green, everybody has enough fuel. We've talked about this several times over that everybody has enough fuel, but it's going to be who thinks that the gamble of staying out or going in for fresh tires, and when they go in for fresh tires, because it's like going to Vegas, man. It is a gamble. You don't know. One, there's no guarantees the rest of the race is going to stay green. Two, there's no guarantees that you're the only one that stays out and tries to chance it on the same tires, or that you're the only one that's going to come in and get fresh tires. So you take a bunch of guys with very smart minds and very smart people behind them helping them. There's no telling how this thing plays out. So, uh, but before we get too far into this, we have so much fun calling these races and getting to know every single one of these drivers, Kevin, that we lose track of time really easy. And I'll tell you, like last week, some of the segments that we spend hours producing and getting ready throughout the week for each one of these broadcasts, we just lose track of time. We forget to do them. So I want to do a couple of those while we're watching these guys go around the track so we don't forget to do it this week. And one of those being the red line minute. Now, you've heard NASCAR say that they got the crank it up segment where you get to follow around some really cool camera angles. Well, we have the same thing, but ours is called the red line minute, brought to you by Evolution Racing Network. And so we're going to let you take some very unique angles and perspective of these trucks going around this track here at Richmond, and allow you to turn your speakers up and listen to some high horsepower and some high RPMs and get loud on the Red Light Minute. That's the Red Line Minute right here from Evolution Racing Network. And as I was sitting there watching some of these really cool camera angles that we have, Michael Sheffield made it look easy, Kevin, but he set up Brian Fine for about 3 consecutive laps and waited for his time to pounce. And when he did, he just drove around him. And Brian Fine had no choice but to let him go, because this isn't one of those tracks you get to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a really strong truck right now, and it's showing. But he's about 2.3 seconds back there right now from the Cali kid. So Trevor, man, he is.
Let's
He is
take a
on.
look at
He's
that.
on the
Let's see
rails.
what it looks like. Um, just a little bit visually, it's a little bit easier to see what the intervals are from all these drivers. As we see that, Trevor Massetti right now has over a 2 second lead over Michael Sheffield, and we've got 35 laps to go in the race. And then Brian Fine is another second back, and then Chad Singer another half a second back. So these guys, and it's all the way back to Chris Claude, that is almost 18 seconds back from the leader. And it only takes, based on their current lap times, about a 23 seconds to get around Richmond. So, you know, this is short track Saturday night racing at its finest. Um, but I think Brian Fine may have showed his hand a little too early in this race. He did such a phenomenal job through stage one, stage two, and the beginning of stage three. But as you can see, the handling or the grip in that truck is drastically falling off. And he has now fallen all the way back to fourth place. And I say all the way back to fourth place like it's a horrible thing, like he just, went 2 laps down. But here, when you're fighting for a spot in the playoffs, that's bad. I mean, the only place that you want to be is right up front. And that is exactly where the Cali kid, Trevor Massetti, and that 3 truck is. And Sheffield is hunting him down. I'm going to throw the battle box up, Kevin, and see how close are they. They are less than 2 seconds now. So Michael Sheffield is making up time on him. And I'm curious to see how long it takes him to get up to Trevor Massetti. Because once it gets to him, that's one thing. Then he's got to get around him. And we're coming to the conclusion of this race.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering if Trevor's actually going to pit. I'm wondering if he's thinking about staying out and just finishing this thing. Um, I don't see any signs of them pitting at this point, so I see them staying out.
I do too. I think we've talked about Michael Sheffield all season long about he is the long run guy. If you want to go do an endurance race with a team, that's the guy you want on it because he knows how to save tires and save the truck to where it's not using everything up all at once or early in a run or for a 30 lap run. If there's 110 laps on a fuel run like there is here tonight, Michael Sheffield knows how to make that truck get the most out of it from lap 1 to a lap 110. So if there's a race that the situation for him has been laid out for him perfect, this is it, Kevin.
Yeah, um, absolutely. I mean, he definitely. I call myself saying that again, but I just can't help it. But
Hey,
yeah,
that's all right. That's us. That's ERN at its finest. Evolution Racing Network. We are known as the Absolutely guys. So I don't care. Say it all you want.
but Sheffield, man, he's reeling them in. He's down to 1.492 right now. I think if I'm Trevor, I get a little bit nervous here because you're coming to about
Uh-huh.
25, 26 to go. But at the
Yep.
same time, you run that preferred line because it is going to be really hard for Sheffield to get past you. It's catching up to you first. That's the hardest part.
Right. Then
Then
getting
it's
around it.
then getting around is the next part. So, um,
Well,
if I'm
let's.
Trevor, I'm not looking in the mirror. I'm just
You
driving my
can't. Yeah.
thing, and I am running that preferred line.
Well, you really can't. We talked about that earlier. You can't drive out of the mirror at it, especially at a track like this that is very technical. One mishap into a corner can cost you. It's really got to be about just getting out there, getting hitting your marks, doing what you need to make the race for you, race the track, not the other drivers. So uh, let's go through the field though. Starting with the California kid, Trevor Massetti. We had mentioned it earlier. He's 18 from Madera, California. Him and his family own and operate a very successful tractor pool. As you see in his picture there, that is a world famous multi engine tractor known as Yellow Fever. And it's actually a funny story is most of the families had their wedding photos taken back or taken next to that tractor right there. Multiple generations and multiple different families, brothers, and it is really cool to see something like that in motorsports stay in, stay alive, and stay relevant. Um, Especially out there in California, where they have very more restrictions than the rest of the country. So we wish them well, and Brian and Christy, and Stephen and Jim, and the brothers and everybody there. We love you guys, and we appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. And we'll see if Trevor can pull off the victory tonight as he's coming to 20 to go. Right behind him, we have Michael Sheffield, the number one truck from Emporia, Virginia. Now, he started on the pole tonight, had an early mishap, and has rebounded beautifully and is getting his way up to try to battle for the win with Trevor Massetti. And we'll get back up to that battle as soon as we get through the field. We have 23 Chad B. Singer, the BSR Toyota Tundra. Uh, Mr. Consistency has done great tonight. As always, top five, just always there when it counts. He's going to have a really good points tonight. We'll have to see where he finishes up as he's from Cloud, Michigan. Right behind him, Brian Fine, a guy that has been up front all night long, but here on this last run, the truck's starting to give way a little bit from Owasso, Oklahoma, right up the interstate from me. Uh, Great guy. Teammates with Justin Hendry and RTR. These guys always put on a show and do well. Stephen Baldwin Jr. back in fifth place for Points, West Virginia. Man, he's had a really good night tonight. He was started in the back, further back in the field, made his way all the way up to second, third, and then has fallen back just a bit, but has kind of stabilized right there in that fifth, sixth position. Currently showing him scored in the fifth position. Kevin, go ahead and take us through the rest of the field.
Sixth place, we've got one of the funniest guys in the league, and his picture is just absolutely
Says it all.
phenomenal. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to say it again, absolutely, because you guys are playing the drinking game. Have fun tonight. But Jerry Culver is the life of the party in this Evolution Racing Network. We love Jerry. Jerry is an awesome guy to race with. Just saw that his mom's on the stream watching it. So hello to Jerry's mom, and just a really good guy there. So Jerry Culver sitting there in sixth place. Seventh place, we've got Jeff Carson. Jeff Carson's one of my buddies, a really good friend to me in the racing network from Glendale, Arizona. Had a really strong truck earlier in the race. Just unfortunate, got involved in some incidents. But Jeff Carson, really good guy. Enjoy racing him week in and week out. That guy is just phenomenal to run with. Sitting there right behind him in eighth place, we've got Justin Hendry. Justin Hendry just has not had any good luck tonight, man. That guy is a really good racer. Just been caught up in unfortunate situations as you see the back end of his truck. But he's out of Mobile, Alabama, and let's just hope he can finish this one out strong, and then next week he'll try to do something different. Then we've got a guy I'd like to pick on 24/7 because he picks on me 24/7, Mr. Steve Kerpel himself.
Man, that ain't no lie.
He terrorizes me, but I terrorize him. But it's a brother love thing, Steve's a really good guy. I enjoy racing with him. I proudly run in his medieval league that he's put together on Sunday nights, which we're having the season opener tomorrow at Daytona.
That's right.
Just want to put a little plug in there. But Steve is a really good guy. You could not ask for a better person to be on the board of directors in the Evolution Racing Network, and just really hope he can finish this race and go strong next week to try to get in the championship four. Then we've got Chris Claude. He is out of Fairview, Tennessee. Chris is sitting there in 10th place, and I'm going to let Ryan explain his little plug. I know Chris runs another league, but Ryan's got a little bit better intel on it. Ryan, would you tell the viewers?
That's right. Chris Claude, we race a lot in multiple leagues. He operates Sunday night NASCAR, Monday night NASCAR, and I think it's called Tuesday Thunder Trucks or Thunder Truck Tuesdays. Um, Great guy, puts on. He understands what we go through on a weekly basis. I know they're constantly recruiting, so if you have any questions, you can always reach out to Chris Claude on Sunday night NASCAR, Monday night NASCAR, and now they have trucks on Tuesday. And right behind him, we've got Craig Burns, 26 from Ortonville, Michigan, doing his thing. He really doesn't need to do much. He just has to get out there and do what he can because he has locked himself into the Final Four. We're going to finish up the field quickly here. Brandon Regal and Jerry Hutchinson have taken their trucks to the garage. We're going to go back to Trevor Massetti here because we are inside 10 to go, and it's getting close to the end. Michael
Yes.
Sheffield has made his way all the way within a half a second, Kevin. Does he have enough time? And we talked about it earlier, man. Can he get around him?
Well, here's my question: Can he do a successful bump and run without taking out Trevor? Because I'm gonna be honest, that's in my perspective of what I may do if I can get up on him. I don't want to spin him out,
Right.
but if I can bump him just a little bit and move him up the track, 110%, absolutely, I am all in for that. I've seen it happen time and time again, and I think, if I remember correctly, I think Carl Edwards did that to Kyle Busch years back to win the race on the final lap.
Yeah. I mean,
He
there's
did a
been
bump around,
several very famous incidents that took place just like what you described, because it's very easy to do to get to somebody's bumper. There's an art to it, though, to do it right where you're not wrecking them. And these guys are fearless competitors, but they're teammates, and they work together on a lot of different projects, spend a lot of time racing together in many different types of vehicles, a lot of stock cars, open wheel, you name it. And they're very respectful of one another, so they're not going to dump it. But man, at a track like this, it's so easy to cross the line by accident from trying to do a bump and run and a bump and dump, which means they go spinning. Um, and it looks like Michael Sheffield is going to get there. I just don't know if he's going to have enough time as Trevor Massetti slips up the track.
He left the bottom open. Sheffield gets a huge momentum gain there, and oh my goodness.
But
Will
I've been
Sheff-
seeing this for the last couple laps, Kevin. Trevor has
oh
been
my
getting
God.
loose on corner exit, especially out of 1 and 2. And I think the handling in that truck is starting to go away.
But he's getting that run on the top line.
Yeah,
And
he's
I think
making
that's
it
where
work.
he's making it work. But Sheffield, man, if I'm Sheffield, I just shove
Oh,
it in
there
there
he
on the
is.
final lap.
He
I just
is
shove it in
got
there.
the line. He's got the line. Oh man, as we come to the line, the Sheffield Graphics white flag, and
This
it
is
is
what
going to
we
be
wanted.
absolutely. Oh yes, sir, absolutely.
Oh,
Oh,
oh no!
that's it.
Sheffield's gonna do it. Sheffield is gonna pull this off. Michael Sheffield is gonna win
Wow,
this damn thing,
and
and he
he
is
didn't
gonna
do it dirty.
qualify.
Oh,
He's gonna qualify for the championship 4. Oh my
that's
God!
right. Michael Sheffield just locked himself in as the second driver in the
I told you.
championship 4.
I told you. If he had enough time, he could do it. It's just he's got to make the pass. Trevor got tight, man. Trevor got really tight, and I cannot believe that just happened.
I'm going to tell you something else that I think happened is I think because I've experienced it, nerves are a huge factor when it
Oh,
comes to
absolutely.
racing. And Trevor had been running all night long with somebody in his rearview mirror. And when it counted, it got to the end. And it was somebody that it respected, but at the same token, he wanted to run him hard. And he knew his truck was going away. And he knew the guy behind him was the type of person that is a long run guy that saves just enough to where he can have enough to hit that gas and go around other drivers. And that is Michael Sheffield. And Trevor, I think he just got rattled a little bit.
Yeah.
We saw that his truck was going away um, throughout that last probably 15, 20 laps of that run. It had been slipping up, going away. So we knew that it was going to be a challenge. And man, he just got a little loose and made one little mistake. And that's all it took for Michael Sheffield to capitalize, get around him, and get a victory. And he takes himself. That is seat number 2 and the championship 4. So far, we have Craig Burns in the number 2 truck. We have the 1 truck of Michael Sheffield that have secured their spot in the championship 4. Now, here's what we need everybody to do. Come back next week for the final cutoff race in the round of 8 at Homestead, where you can run the wall. Aero is going to be a huge factor. Tires are going to be a factor, and I guarantee you, fuel mileage will be a factor as well. When you have 6 drivers fighting for the final 2 spots, one may make it in by winning the race, and another one may make it in by points. But until then, let's see if we can't get some of these drivers on the horn. And the first one we're going to talk to, I'm going to let Calvin talk to third place Chad Singer, and we'll talk to Trevor Massetti, and then we'll talk to the race winner Michael Sheffield. So let me see if I can't grab Chad, get him on the horn here, and we'll see what he has to say. How about that, Kevin?
Absolutely.
All right, buddy, here you go.
Chad, this is Ryan and Kevin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, buddy, really good race tonight for you. As Ryan always says, you're Mr. Consistency, Mark Martin of the league. How'd it feel out there tonight?
Good. I really don't know what I could have done any different. I mean, my truck was definitely long run. but I really don't know what I could have done.
Well, and I saw that Trevor was kind of pulling away from everybody, and the same thing with Michael. He had a really good long run truck, but it was like a 3 second lead at first. From you being up there with him, and I saw you close the gap on it. I just don't think you had enough time. Your truck came to life. Later in that run, it just didn't have enough time to catch back up with him. But you had a really good truck all night. Was really quiet, more than anything. We said it in the broadcast, just didn't really see, anything crazy happen with you, but you were just real quiet, just maintained the top five most of the race. And, it was a really good points day for you. I know you would want a better outcome, but how do you feel going into next week at Homestead?
Well, it would have been more comfortable with a win, but yeah, about points, it's good.
Well, good deal, buddy. Well, really appreciate you running strong tonight, and as always, I appreciate talking to you. But before we let you go, is there anything you want to say? Any shout outs, anything like that?
Well, I have to thank my wife, Michelle. We're in the middle of moving this weekend, and still made time for me to come back to this house and hop on iRacing.
What a wife.
Yes. What a wife.
And she
I don't even
puts
have a
up with
wife,
me.
and I say I don't even have a wife, but you know, uh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So,
Yep.
but Chad, once again, thank you. Look forward to seeing you run next week. You're always a good driver, and I know Homestead's going to be a good track for you. So, hopefully, you can get a win next week. Let's lock it in and compete for the championship.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chad.
All right, that was the 23 BSR Toyota Tundra of Chad Biesinger, finishing up third place tonight here at Richmond. And I'll be honest with you, I know Chad personally. He had some defeat in his voice, Kevin. You
Yeah,
could just tell
absolutely.
that he came into tonight with a different mindset and a different outcome of how he thought
Yeah,
things would play out. Um, third place to most people would be something to celebrate, but for Chad and the effort and the consistency that he's ran all season, I think that was a bit of a defeat, and that's okay. I mean, that's what makes this league and what we do here on the sim so fun is you can put hours and hours into preparation, and you don't may not always get your outcome, but you don't see it until well after it happened. It'll be a few weeks down the road, he's going to realize how much he accomplished all season by having such an average finish higher than most guys and lower incident points and all these other accomplishments. So, Chad, keep your head up, man. You're going to finish well, and you have earned a lot of respect for a lot of the drivers out there. So let's see. Now we get to talk to the one that dominated the race tonight, but yet just didn't have enough there at the end to finish it off. Let's get the Cali Kid on the horn here. Hey, Trevor, it's Ryan and Kevin in the boots. Got a copy.
I got you.
Man, oh man, we were sitting there saying there is nothing that anybody can do tonight to touch the Cali Kid, Trevor Massetti. Your dad's sitting here piping in on the stream, super excited. Your whole family's watching, but we saw it with about 15 or so to go. It looks like the truck started to give way, lose a lot of its grip. What happened there in that latter part of that run?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm better on short runs than I am on long runs. I was kind of thinking there was going to be another caution, so burned up tires a little bit. And Sheffield's just, I mean, amazing at saving tires. So I had nothing for him on the long run.
We talked about that. Me and Kevin both were like, Trevor is so good at this track. He's obviously shown that he's put the right amount of time in. He's got the right setup here. It's going to be hard for anybody to get around him. But if there's anybody that can, it's the guy that knows how to save just enough for the end of a run. And that guy was right behind you. He started, I want to say, fifth in that last run, worked his way around a few of those guys, and once he got around Brian Fine, I think Kevin wasn't he 2 seconds back from Trevor at that time,
Two
and there
point
were
three.
2.3 with about 25, 30 to go, and he just kept clicking it off. And from our perspective, what we're watching up here in the booth, it looks like your truck just got loose one time, one lap, and that's all it took for him to capitalize on it. But you guys respect each other and know how each other races. That it's not like there was a chance of an accident or an incident taking place, but he knew he was just waiting for the time to capitalize. Unfortunately for you, it did, but man, you had a killer night tonight with winning two stages um, and leading the most laps and then finishing second. Uh, Tell us, what is the plan for next week? Is it a go for broke and have to win, or do you need another consecutive race next week like you had tonight with good stage finishes and a good finishing order at the end of the race?
I think absolutely you hit it on the head. I'm gonna try and do what I did tonight, basically, and just be up front the whole time and hopefully be there for the win. That's the plan. But the more stage points I can get, and the more points for leading laps that I can get, the better off I'll be for setting myself to be in the championship for. So I don't know. We will see, I guess.
Well, it's a good plan because you know at least one, possibly two drivers are going to get their way in to the championship four by points. So it's not like points don't matter. Now, a driver like Michael Sheffield that had missed a race last week, he pretty much was in that you have to win situation. But a driver like you that has been consecutive or consistent all season long and had good points nights each and every week, um, this is exactly what you needed. Well, we are excited to see what happens next week at Homestead, and I know you love riding the wall. You're the Kyle Larson or the Tyler Reddick of our league here at Wallbangers Truck Series. You love running close to the wall where a lot of the speed is. Um, what do you think it's going to be the winning factor next week before we let you go?
I mean, that could be a winning factor. I tell you what, I'm definitely going to put some time in this week and um, figure out what the winning factor is. But another thing is, two of my teammates are locked in, so that's always helpful because they don't need the win as much as I do. So they that could come into play. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we've already seen it happen earlier in the season with Alexander Encarnacio helping the 28 and the 98 work their way into the playoffs. So teams and teamwork is definitely going to be a deciding factor of how things play out each and every week. So, well, congratulations tonight on another podium finish and a dominating race when you look at it from a whole. So, before we let you go, man, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? Any I love yous, thank yous, or anything like that?
Yeah, got a long list. I gotta say hi to
Well,
mom
the
and
air is
dad.
yours.
Gotta say hi to mom and dad, Grammy and Nono, Nana, Grandpa, Auntie Karen and Uncle Craig. Um, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Kevin and Ryan, for broadcasting. Thank all the admins of the team, everybody that makes this a fun place to race, all the other drivers. It's an awesome time, and it's great to get to know all these awesome people. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. Well, Trevor, congratulations again and good luck next week. And I'm sure this isn't the last time that me and Kevin get an opportunity to chat with you before this season is over. So get some rest, get the planning in place, and we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Absolutely. I'll see you guys later.
All right, bud. Well, Kevin, that was Trevor Massetti. It sounded like he was in great spirits. I think that's just the mindset and the mentality of somebody that understands what it takes as a whole. It's not always about the win, but to get two stage wins, lead the most laps, that's a lot of points that a driver can collect in a single race.
Yeah, yeah, definitely strong momentum going into next week.
Oh, yeah.
I I think even if he doesn't win next week, I think he gets in on points.
Yeah.
He's just a really good driver, really consistent, and that's what matters at this point. But I do want to point out, I'm sorry for the people that are playing the drinking game right now because he said absolutely like three more times,
I
and I
think
just said it
he's in
again.
on
So
this
I'm
too. I think
sorry.
he knows. I think he knows. Well, we will see. Let's play a little game right now. Uh, Michael Sheffield is in the waiting room, so he's not listening to our broadcast right now. So, what do you think the over under is? Do you think he's in on this too, Kevin? So, let's put a little wager. I'll bet you the next round, if you will, on what the over under is. So, you bet it, and it can't go over that if you think Michael Sheffield will say that exact same word. It was on the back of his truck, so he obviously had a insight on this. So, what do you think it is? You think he's going to say it, and if so, how many times?
He'll say it three times.
3 times.
That's
Okay.
that's my bet.
I'm even going to try to bait him a little bit just to see if he's in on this. So let's see if we can't get him on the horn here. Well, maybe. Trying to get him on the radio comms here. Hey, Michael Sheffield, Ryan and Kevin in the booth. You got a copy?
Absolutely.
I knew it. Sorry. All right. All right. All right. Well, look, you threw me off there. I wasn't expecting that. So we found that little hidden gem on the back of your truck. I just happened to be looking through the cameras and looking at this beautiful new paint job you're running. Congrats on the win, by the way, but we'll get back to that in a sec. And I happened to see this big word painted on the bed cover. Um, well, what are you trying to say, huh?
That's y'all's favorite term. So, hey, and then, I heard whiff of this game. So, I want to make sure y'all have plenty of spirits to entertain yourselves.
Well, we're probably not going to have many people able to walk after this, right?
Yeah.
Well, brother, congratulations on an incredible finish tonight. We were sitting there watching this thing take place. We talked to you, winning the poll, um, and immediately when the race starts, you have trouble. You go through the infield and start mowing the yard, and you recollect. We talk about what it is like mentally to go through a situation like that so early and to have to recollect your thoughts, get your bearings straight, and start just getting out there and doing what you came to do, which is hitting your marks, racing the track, not everybody else. And man, did you just keep fighting. Every stage you kept getting further and further up front. We saw you set this up from what, Kevin, about 25 laps to go, right? We
Yeah.
saw you setting this thing up like it was planned to happen, like it did. And man, did you just execute flawlessly. And most importantly, you were there waiting. We know that you would never dump Trevor to get the win, but we knew that you were going to capitalize on any and every moment that you could to get around him. And that's exactly what you did. What you didn't see was what we could see from some of the different angles. His truck started to go away. It was getting very loose. It was getting very hard to control, and yours was like it was on rails. And man, you were there to capitalize, got around him. So congratulations on locking yourself into the final four. You and now Craig Burns are the first two drivers that occupy half of the final four. Guaranteed yourself a seat at the table. Um, so tell me about tonight. Give me a recap on it, and let us know what are your thoughts going forward.
Well, off the start, I got a little confused. I thought I was at Monza left turn, and I decided to take that little jump there. Uh, I cleared in the infield. I got through the grass, and I felt the jump, and the truck cleared the ground. And I said, "Oh, well, I might be in trouble early."
You
But
got about
luckily, I
two
didn't have
feet of
any
air.
damage. Oh yeah, and it just was. I don't know why. You know, Usually I'm thinking long term, but on the start, I don't. Especially this track, starting inside on pole position is always hard. Your tires are green. You want to get in the gas a lot sooner than you need to, and being pinched, not necessarily pinched, but your track. width limited to what you can run in, it's hard to get a run off, especially on green tires. Now, long run, I know that, as long as I hit my marks, I know where I want to get in the gas off for. I know how I want to run in one and two. And I know, the first 20 laps, I'm going to lose a little bit of time or just hang. And then after those 20 laps, as long as I keep hitting my marks, I'll gain. And that's one thing I've noticed is 3 and 4. I would wait till their trucks start to slide up a little bit. And if I'm on that bottom line, I can
Hmm.
capitalize and try to get that run going down the front stretch. And in coming off two, when they're getting a little tight going towards the wall, I'm able to get in the gas a little bit harder, just letting the truck roll through the center. Um,
Well, well, it showed. I mean, your truck looked literally like it was on rails. Now, like you said, it may not have been the fastest up front, but me and Kevin talked about it, I think, two or three different times. We knew if the last run that happened under green would have went green, as long as there was no more cautions, that was your race to lose. Even though you weren't in the lead, we knew where you were going to end up because that was your technical. You have said it for weeks that you're waiting for Richmond and Homestead. You were going to win one of those two races. All you needed was to not be wrapped up into something that was going to take you out of it beyond your control. And you did just that. So let me ask you this. What is your mindset going in next week? Are you going out there and trying to be as competitive as you always been and try to go for the win? Or are you trying to get, other teammates locked in? It's you and Craig with your teammates and Trevor Massetti, which is another teammate that dominated tonight's race with two stage wins, leading the most laps. What's the plan for next week at Homestead? I know you love that track.
the monkey is off my back. I'm
That's
in the
right.
four. So my focus next week is my teammates.
Okay.
100% my teammates. Um, Try to help them as much as I can. Uh, they they've helped me all season. It's and that's what I love about this league. There's great guys in here that you know everybody's here, and it's like you said. With the I'm not going to bump somebody. To take the win, and all the guys in here tonight, they're not going to do the same thing either. And that's a it's you build a comfort level running around people, and you kind of know how people are going to react after a certain number of weeks. You know how they're going to run, and it's all about respect.
Well, sure. And it makes it a lot easier and a lot more fun to drive around people when you know how they're going to react and how they're going to pay you back. It's something that team racing that people don't get to see unless somebody talks about it is you got the win this week, but say next week you're the dominant truck and Trevor, the roles are reversed and Trevor is the one racing you down. I think there's going to be a little give and take and a little, hey, buddy, go ahead. Let's get you a win and get you locked in. We saw it with RTR earlier getting into the playoffs with the 94 and then Justin Hendry and Brian Fine. And that securely got them into the playoffs. So you guys have executed so well late in the run, and it kind of takes any and all mistakes and mishaps that have happened in the regular season, throws them out the window. Because when it comes to game time, you and your team have executed almost flawlessly. All the drivers have done well. You guys come well prepared. And we cannot wait to see what happens next week. So it's either going to be one or two drivers that get in by points. We could have a wild card and have one of the non playoff drivers take a win next week, and it could come down to two drivers having to secure their way in by points. And that could come down to Steve Kerpel, Chad Biesinger, Trevor Massetti, Chris Claude, Brian Fine. A lot of people are going to be very close. So we will be there every lap and every second of the way and can't wait to see how it plays out. So congratulations again before we let you go. As always, we want to open the air for you and let you say anything and everything you want to and give any shout outs that you would like as well.
Before you before you do it though, I
Uh-oh.
just want to advise that, when you say your shout outs, if there's anything, absolutely, something like that, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Mm-mm.
Well, absolutely. I was going to use that anyway.
I hate you,
So,
Kevin.
is this a battle to see who can get somebody to say it the most tonight?
Or the
Not
least.
necessarily the most. It's over under.
Well, first and foremost, as we just talked about, I've got to thank my teammates, Trevor, Craig, Jerry, Steve Baldwin. They they're all everybody's instrumental in the teamwork function, and everybody comes together, and we you know we try to do and help each other out in every way we can. Some of us are better at short runs, some of us are better at long runs, some of us are better at this, some of us are better at that. And that's what makes a team work together, is you can work together and help each other through, whatever race, because some people are better at one track, some people are better at others. Second, I want to thank y'all in the booth. Y'all doing an outstanding job. Um, you know, week in and week out, y'all are absolutely nailing it. So,
Well, we appreciate that, man. We really do.
It means a lot. It means a lot. More than you guys know.
and I think that's going to be the tagline. So,
No, no, don't do it. Just don't. All right, well, great. So I think Michael Sheffield is done. Um,
I don't
no,
know. Don't know.
no, don't, just don't coax him into one more for the love of Pete. Well, no, in all seriousness, man, congratulations. This was a textbook way of how to come into a race with a formulated plan, um, and watch it go awry right from the get go, and then how to recollect, rebound, and work through it. You did a great job tonight, Chef. Congratulations on that. Welcome to the Championship 4. We've got a lot more for the.
I think we just lost him, Chef.
I think we did too.
Oh, no. Well, go ahead and take it away, Kevin.
Well, Sheffield, just as always, thank you, buddy. Glad that you were able to overcome this, and you're in the championship 4, man. So look forward to seeing what you do next week. But I'm really looking forward to see you at Phoenix.
All right. Absolutely.
All right, Kevin, can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother.
I don't know what's going on, but you baited him into that last and final one.
I said 3 though. I said 3, and he only did 2. I
Oh
counted
no,
2.
he just said the third one as he left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
next round's on me. All right.
There you go.
Touche.
Yeah.
Touche.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
I got a challenge. I got a challenge for you next week. Uh, but for everybody else, you will have to come next week to find out what that challenge is. Um, so, from me and Kevin and everybody here at Evolution Racing Network, we want to say thank you for watching the race tonight. I hope it was just a small taste of what you think you can see next week. Um, if you think the racing has been exciting the last few weeks, you have seen nothing yet. As we have the next 2 weeks are going to be the two best races. And why are they going to be the two best races, Kevin?
Because it's a winner go home.
That's right. Next week we have the final race that will lock in the last two drivers to the championship 4, and then immediately following that, it's all or nothing. You have 4 drivers that are going out at ISM at Phoenix, and they're going to battle for the first driver of those 4 to finish up in front of everybody else. Kevin, I'll let you close it out, but for me, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching the stream, for interacting with us. Send us a message on Facebook if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions that you'd like to see or hear on the network. And if not, make sure you come back next Saturday night, right here on YouTube and Facebook at 9:50 Eastern. for the last round of the playoffs. So, Kevin, I'm going to let you close it out, buddy, and we'll see you guys all next week.
Just once again, everybody, thank you, everyone that participates in watching this, and everyone here from Evolution Racing Network. I just want to give a thank you to everybody, including Ryan. I really enjoy this. I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if I didn't do it with these guys, this being my first broadcasting gig. So, just everyone, thank you so much for that. Thank you for a great league. And we look forward to broadcasting next week and seeing who's going to qualify for the Championship 4. So, to all the viewers tonight, thank you. Have a safe night, and we'll see you next Saturday night.